Buenos días. Hoy vamos a hablar más profundamente sobre las varias traducciones al español del verbo to become en inglés. Let's start with these two verbs, ponerse and volverse. Both of them mean to become. Both are used with an adjective afterwards, so then you really have to understand the meaning of that verb in order to choose correctly between the two. Or you can just memorize phrases like volverse loco, one of your vocabulary phrases. But I'd like you to know a little bit more than that. So we choose ponerse when an adjective is after it to show an involuntary physical or an emotional change. So here in this first example, me puse enfermo durante las vacaciones. So I got sick on vacation, right? That's definitely involuntary. That's definitely physical. Ejemplo dos. Ana se pone roja cuando habla. She blushes, actually, is the phrase, but she turns red. Again, involuntary, physical. Volverse indicates a sudden, profound change. So you have two examples here. Se volvió loco. I don't know. It just went crazy. Certainly sudden and profound. It's a different change. And this one right here. Julio se ha vuelto imposible. He's just become impossible. I don't even want to talk to him. Impossible, a profound change. It's sudden. It's not necessarily a physical, so it doesn't make sense to use ponerse. It's not really emotional. So that's why we chose volverse instead. Kind of is like a to become or gone. Okay, three more. Let's start with hacerse and llegar a ser. These two are followed by adjectives also, so we have more adjectives. But these indicate a change brought about by effort, okay? So if you remember with ponerse, it was involuntary and it was physical or emotional. And this one is something that you did that caused this. Hacerse to become, llegar a ser to arrive at being. Professions in Spanish are adjectives, right? And professions are something that you do end up with because of a lot of effort, so they fall into this category in Spanish for sure. So me hice médica, I became doctor. Now in English we would say a doctor because we have it as a noun, but in Spanish we have médico, médica, and they're considered adjectives. So me hice médica, I became a doctor. Second example, es posible hacerse rico en los Estados Unidos. Okay, so rico is our adjective. And in this question, is it possible to get rich? So this is one where in English we would say get rich. We chose that because there's a lot of effort that's going to go into getting rich. You're going to turn yourself into a rich person. You're going to have to work for it. So that's why these two would be appropriate. Convertirse en transformarse en. They look a lot like what they are, to convert into and to transform yourself into. So these indicate some sort of a changing, some sort of a transformation. They're also usually used for things rather than people. For example, you wouldn't transform yourself into a doctor. That doesn't make as much sense. Unless you're like putting on a costume, right? Your Halloween costume, you could transform yourself into something that way. So let's look at these examples. La condición se convirtió en una emergencia médica. The condition turned into a medical emergency, right? It converted into something else. And then last one, la leche puede transformarse en queso. Milk can be turned into cheese, right? So we have a transformation, so it makes sense to use these verbs and not some of our others. This list of verbs should be kind of familiar, some of our vocabulary for this chapter. And these are all verbs that, there's a specific verb. They all are becoming in their own way, becoming something else. They describe a change in mental, emotional, or physical state. They're not using adjectives afterwards. It's just that verb that contains, it's a very active choice. I actually like it better than our other choices before. So if you have something, rather than say ponerse aburrido, I think it's a much stronger choice to say aburrirse. It shows a different vocabulary. So aburrirse, to become bored. Casarse con, to get married with. Remember, you always want that con. Cansarse, to tire of something. Me canso de estar en Zoom todos los días. Divertirse, remember, a stem change here. Me divierto, to have fun. We talked before. This is one of the ones that's super important to remember in Spanish. Not tener diversión, divertirse. Se divierten. They have fun. Dormirse is to fall asleep. Enojarse is to get mad. Enojado. Enfadarse is, I think, a little stronger than enojarse. It's the same emotion, though, to get enraged. Enmudecerse, mudo, mute, is not talking. So this one is to fall silent or to become suddenly silent. And lastly, we have some opportunities for you to practice. So I would like you to use the verbs in this presentation to translate these sentences into español, and we'll check your answers in class.